This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever you happen to watch this. I almost said witness, that's a little odd. I'd like to know how everybody's doing. I hope you're holding up well. On my podcast, I Doubt It with Dollemore. Not really a shameless plug, because if you're not already listening to my podcast, which is hosted by, obviously, by me, since it has my stupid name in it, I Doubt It with Dollemore. It's also co-hosted by the lovely, the talented, and the absolutely fabulously scholarly Brittany Page. It's a twice-a-week podcast, and we've been taking a lot of phone calls from listeners, a lot of voicemails and voice memos from listeners, just kind of, fostering a sense of community and reaching out to one another and leaning on one another in these times of uncertainty, but also to talk to one another and kind of express what we're going through. Each one of us has our own experience in this world, and I think it's good to regale one another of the specifics of kind of what you're going through, whether it be a work challenge or a stress and anxiety challenge from staying at home all the time, the anxiety that comes with not wanting to be infected by our current predicament. Anyway, I would encourage you to check out the podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher and anywhere there's podcast. Anywhere there's podcast. So thank you. Today I want to talk about two things. And they both involve an overreach from the United States government. An overreach of the Trump administration, which has been kind of the norm for over 4 years, for over 3 years now. It was a want to overreach during his campaign. The first has to do with Bill Barr and the Justice Department asking for unprecedented powers to allow judges to indefinitely detain suspects, people who are not on trial, have not been indicted, an overreach. And the other thing has to do with a video I did the other day about this stimulus package that it seems Donald Trump is absolutely going to profit, absolutely going to benefit from the same stimulus package that he is now going to administer, which on its face is ridiculous and unethical, possibly criminal. First, let's start with the Bill Barr story. I'm going to read from Politico that the DOJ seeks new broad emergency powers. The move has tapped into a broader fear among civil liberties advocates and Donald Trump's critics, that the president will use a moment of crisis to push for controversial policy changes. Already, he has cited the pandemic as a reason for heightened border restrictions and restricting asylum claims. He has also pushed for further tax cuts as the economy withers, arguing it would soften the financial blow to Americans. And even without policy changes, Trump has vast emergency powers that he could deploy right now to try to slow the coronavirus outbreak. In one of the documents, the department proposed that Congress grant the Attorney General power to ask the chief judge of any district court to pause court proceedings, quote, whenever the district court is fully or partially closed by virtue of any natural disaster, civil disobedience, or other emergency situation. This is a problem. It might seem innocent on its face that, yeah, of course, during this time of emergency, we need the government to be able to alter the normal course of business. Do we want to allow the Trump administration to fully or partially close by virtue of any natural disaster, civil disobedience, or other emergency situation? It's those last two that really give me pause. Civil disobedience. So when you exercise your First Amendment right to protest, of freedom of speech, redress of grievances. They're allowed to detain you, imprison you indefinitely. I don't think so. Not with this Attorney General, certainly not. I wouldn't trust anybody with that kind of power. And then the other emergency situation, this nebulous term that could be that could be defined as anything by the government if granted the power. No, I say no. And I'm not the only one who says no. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, absolutely not. Republican, libertarian-minded Mike Lee from Utah tweeted, over my dead body. Congressman Earl Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon, this is wrong and must not be allowed to happen. Independent, former Republican Justin Amash from Michigan tweeted, Congress must loudly reply, no. And Martin Quezada, that would be a hard no. So there are multiple politicians on vastly different sides of the aisle who are sounding the alarm about this particular overreach of Donald Trump. I was opposed to the Patriot Act after 9/11. I thought it was a knee-jerk reaction. Many civil libertarians also agreed. And this is the exact same thing. Look, the government absolutely should have broad powers to act in the public interest and public safety. I'm not arguing with that. But to allow district court to pause court proceedings whenever the district court is fully or partially closed by virtue of natural disaster, civil disobedience, or other emergency situation is a bridge too far. And again, I'm clearly not the only one who believes so. I'd love your thoughts on this. Call, email. And then the other thing has to do with, like I said earlier, Mnuchin's broad discretion with this stimulus package. $500 billion, $500 billion that Steve Mnuchin is just supposed to shepherd through and dole out as he sees fit. This Treasury Secretary, who has blocked Congress's legal authority to Donald Trump's taxes, is going to be the one to see fit as to who deserves and doesn't deserve this money. Reading from the Washington Post, one key sticking point is a $500 billion pool of money for loans and loan guarantees that Republicans want to create, which some Democrats are labeling a quote-unquote slush fund, because the Treasury Department would have broad discretion over who receives the money. There is little precedent for a program with a similar size and scope. Look, there absolutely needs to be a stimulus package right now. We are witnessing the economy wither and die on the vine. It is crumbling. So we need to do something as a taxpayer base, as a government. We need to. But to leave such broad power in the hands of one man who is a boot-licking coward in the face of Donald Trump's authority, absolutely not. There needs to be either a commission, a bipartisan commission appointed to make certain that everything is done above board, or every single dollar amount that is issued needs to be run through Congress or the Gang of Eight or whatever authority we decide. But absolutely not Steve Mnuchin on his own deciding that, yeah, Donald Trump's golf courses, they're going to get a massive portion of this money, this $500 billion. But yeah, Donald Trump's hotels, they're extra affected by this. They need that money because of the impact that this particular national emergency has had on his business. no. And I dare say you also agree. But I'd love to know, as always, what you think. We can agree or disagree, but I think that we can do it agreeably. Unless, of course, you're a cowardly troll, which I don't think the vast majority of my audience is. There's certainly a percentage of people who listen to me or watch me who are hate listeners and hate watchers on YouTube. That's not everybody, is it? I don't think so. Listen, I realize many of you are watching this in the in the morning, early in the morning. This is recorded on Sunday, and I assure you this is the evening. So, look, be safe out there. Be genuine. Treat one another well. Look out for one another. If you have a neighbor, if you have a relative who is in a vulnerable position, if it's within your power, make certain that they're taken care of. Again, if you're in a position to do so and you'd like to help spread this content, you'd like to help support and produce this content, click that join button. For less than $1.99 a month, you can help support independent media and voices just like mine. You might hate my voice and not want to support it, and you know what? That's fine too. I love you guys. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you next time.